Hey guys, welcome back to the season finale of season 2 of Secrets of a Church Girl. I'm Randy.
Hey, I'm Allison.
And we're your co-hosts. We are so pumped, excited.
Yes.
We need to find more synonyms for next season of the word excited. And also for the word like. We should make a compilation for the tickety talk of just like.
Yeah, it's been humbling.
It has. I think.
We're exhilarated.
I think.
Wow, you have to say I think to remove liability.
Yeah. In my own personal humble opinion. If you can hear anything, that's my daughter. She is alive and well. Thank you, Jesus. And running around upstairs during this filming episode. So, yes, tell us, how's it been?
It's been so good. I love life. I love Jesus. You know, all the things.
Me too.
Period.
I love that for us. We are super pumped about this episode because we are talking about the topic of being intentionality.
Yeah.
I think that life doesn't just happen to you, like what you desire to see, what God has given you a vision for, the things he's called you to, they don't ever just happen. I think that God gives you this really amazing box of like, if you've ever seen like a Lego set and the outside is like, this is exactly what I have for your life. Here's the box, here's the directions, here's every tiny little piece that you need, that you will ever need in life. Like everything you've ever needed, everything you have ever looked for to complete something that God has called you to, it's already inside of you.
Yeah.
But intentionality is the bridge that gets you to where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
I really believe. And so we had a few suggestions actually of like what we should talk about on the podcast. And one of them was intentionality. Shout out Grace.
Yes, the queen.
Shout you out, Queenie. Yeah, so we're going to get into it. But before we get into all the stuff, even though I kind of already sidetracked, okay. Anything you want to give us to go before we go on we're going to have like a short break, probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, and then maybe a month. And then we will start posting for season 3. We'll come out with like the announcement date and like maybe all that stuff like that. We'll do like a little sneak preview. Yeah. But anything you want to say to the viewers for hanging through season 2, your first season?
Well, I love this. Like, I love this concept. So I'm thankful that people want to listen. And I feel like that's just so, I feel like it has reached actually a lot of people, which was like surprising to me. Like you told me that would happen, but then when it actually started to happen, like that's really cool. So thank you for watching. Thank you for probably using discernment for some of the wild things I say. And
you're so funny.
I love this, and I hope this just keeps growing.
Yeah.
It's been really great.
We're excited. Thank you guys so much for sticking it out with us. But next season we plan on having some guests that we'll be interviewing. We will also be probably a little bit more active going into season 3 on our socials. Our Instagram is going to be like a bunch of clips of the episodes, but our TikTok is going to be like more lifestyle, like living the life of a church girl on like a regular day.
Yeah.
And then our Instagram will probably be more like the cut up content from what you guys are already watching. So if you want more shenanigans from us, then definitely we'll be found on the Talk to Tick.
Yes. Yes. Also, we're going to do like questions and stuff on our Instagram.
Yes.
So like if you want, or like if you want to DM us like stories and like we've talked about that, or things you want us to talk about too.
Yes. Everything will stay anonymous.
But the DMs are open.
The DMs are open. So yeah, we'll kind of get a rhythm going here. I think season 2 was just like, let's figure out if we can stick to the schedule, uploading, like all that. And now that we have done that, we're ready to like kind of dig our feet in a little bit deeper and see what else God wants to do in season 3.
Yeah, this has been like, I think good for our friendship too, just because like it's like time set apart.
Yeah.
I think we're doing something like productive, but also having fun.
Yeah.
So it's been good for us.
No, I agree. I love it.
I love it.
So
okay, well tell us what you've been doing to be intentional in your personal life.
Okay, yeah. So I think it goes like multiple levels. A lot of people's responses in here are like their spiritual walk or their like, you know, I know for me, like in my personal relationship, I've been really trying to be intentional about for me that like I've stopped trying to like force a way of life that doesn't work.
Fit,
Yeah. And so a lot of my like intentional time, even just with myself and stuff, is after everybody goes to sleep. So that doesn't mean in the morning. Like I always read my verse of the day when I wake up. Like that's one of the first things I do. I get ready throughout the day, like all that stuff. I mean, for the day in the morning, all that. But I feel like that's been normal for me.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, I feel like I'm the most productive at night. Like when I'm by myself. I can also like, there are a few people that I can still call at night that like I can catch up with, hear the situation, like, you know what I mean? Those things. Cause Atlas is asleep at like 8, Billy's asleep like 8:45, 9 o'clock, and he's done. I can probably be awake till like 2 a.m. and still function the next day with like 5 or 6 hours of sleep, which is probably not the best, but that's something I've been trying to be intentional about. Like just cause I can stay up doesn't mean I should.
Yeah.
So I made it a point that I really want to be asleep by like 11. Which is great for me. And then I get up probably like 6:30. So that's 7.5 hours. But even in that time, like that's like 2 or 3 hours that I don't spend it all like cleaning and organizing and like doing stuff in the house. I spend it more for myself. So that's usually the time that I'll journal for like an extended period of time.
Okay.
And I've been trying to do that every night. Or that's when I do like my full shower experience, which is like washing my hair, shaving my legs, like exfoliating, like all that stuff like that. I'll do that. But even as I like go to prepare for that, like I know this sounds so silly, but like I'll do my hair oiling. I'll like do the little things that like I enjoy to do, but I normally would never do them at 6 a.m. on a, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like with intention for me, it's really become like what fits in the season of life that I'm in that I can get the most out of. And I'm going to be intentional with that in that season.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Instead of like, this is my general way of life and I'm always going to stick to this. That's so hard because life always changes. So how do you abbreviate what God is calling you to, or like kind of like get the most out of what you can in the season that you find yourself in?
Yeah.
Like the call has never changed. Like I've been called I feel like since last year to continue to work on my healing journey, grow my marriage, grow my parenting, and grow our church, like in the capacity that God has given me.
Yeah.
So that's always what I'm called to.
Yeah.
How do I make it fit in this season?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, I know the healing portion for me is like the evenings, the nighttime. Like I sit, I think, I reflect on the day, where I'm at, what God was speaking to me about, what he was actually trying to do in that situation that I was frustrated about, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I do that at night. And I've been, the journaling portion for me, like was always kind of a way that I would take notes in church or like engage in the message, but it wasn't always like the way of life for me outside of there. So when I got in inner healing and it was like talking about how journaling is like a huge portion of that, I found myself the first like few weeks like, oh, my journal's like in the car, like it's outside or it's downstairs or whatever, and I just didn't want to get it. So now I have journals everywhere. Yeah. Which I had to break off like the desire to have everything in one, or decide I was going to get out of my bed at 11 o'clock at night when I had an hour to journal. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I have a journal upstairs on my nightstand. I have a journal. There's journals down here in the basement. There's journals on the main level of my house. There's a journal in my car. There's a journal in my purse. There's journals everywhere. Yeah. That I feel like if at any point I need to like get my story up and out or tell Jesus something, like it's right there at hand. That's really good. But yeah, those are just like, I feel like, I know it's in a general sense, like in a way of life, it's not like these huge things I'm implementing to be intentional. It's like small little tiny things. And I feel like the devil's in the details. That's how
Jesus is. Very simple. You know what I mean? Like it's not this big thing.
Yeah.
Also, I think you said like, you know what you're called to. I feel like you guys there's like basic things that every believer is called to. So if you don't know what you're called to, you can still have intentionality about the things
basic things that everybody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. How about you? What are you being intentional, I guess, about right now in the season, and then how?
I think I'm really working on still just like getting down my routine with Jesus. I think I'm really like, I'm waking up early, like being intentional in that aspect. Because once I get to work and then once I come home, I don't want to do anything because I like get home and then I have an hour probably before I should be to sleep and like do it all over again. So the mornings are really important to me. I feel like I'm trying to like journaling and reading the Bible are my biggest things. And then I have other like, I have a book I'm reading about, like, it's called it's actually, I don't even think it's Christian, to be honest. Oh, God.
The 5 Dysfunctions of a Teen?
No, it's called 8 Dates, and it's
Oh,
like eight questions you should ask like your partner before you guys decide if you want to get married.
That's so good.
Devin got it for me and was like, let's read this together, whatever. But Angel, if you're watching this, my boo.
Hey, Bookie.
But yeah, so like I'm working on that, which I've actually been doing like really good with. And actually too, I feel like journaling used to be like, okay, let me do it, because I said I was going to do it during inner healing. But now it's like, even at night, if I want to journal again, I will journal again. So like that, I'm being really intentional about just like getting everything out. Yeah, I think. But then there's just like some practical things that I think I'm being intentional about, like being prepared. We were talking about that. Like, I'm just trying to prepare well, because I feel like my brain is so scattered when I don't prepare. Yeah. That I'm like, I can't be a good friend. I can't be a good daughter. I can't serve people well when I'm like, there's 10,000 other things going on. Yeah, so just being prepared, and also starting a small group was really about intentionality for me too, I think, because I think it's easy to say like, I don't have time for that right now. So making that time, making that space, and dating long distance, you have to be really intentional as well, which is like,
and very secure.
Yeah. But like literally saying like, okay, I have to go home because I have a date on FaceTime. Like that's like a foreign concept to me. Yeah. So like, but too, then I feel like when you don't have that time set apart, then you feel that too. So it's like, okay, well, yeah.
That's so good.
So this is what I'm doing right now.
I love that.
Also, this is random, but I feel like I've been trying to be intentional about, because I'm a gift giver, but there's many times where I'll just like buy everything I see because it's so last minute, but you kind of almost want to make up for the lack that you didn't prepare. So you just buy everything. Yeah. And so I'm trying to be intentional about gift giving and like things that are important to people. Like, I think I told you, I saved like Emily's wedding invitation, and then I put it in her baby book. Like that, and was the like engagement really, shoot. Yeah, that was like really. That was something I was like, I have all these things saved from her, and I don't know what I'm gonna do, but like I want to putting it in the baby book. So that felt like really cool to me.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on that.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that in a lot of levels. Like I'll just buy everything.
Yeah.
Even when Father's Day comes and I didn't plan, I'm like, oh, let me get like 10 different. What? No, relax.
Yeah. Like it's because like
I'm gonna buy a boat.
I bought you a yacht. It's on the pot. Okay, but that's so funny because it's like they don't know that you didn't prepare. No clue. Because you feel guilty.
Especially because we're long-term gift preparers.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm already thinking about Bree's birthday gift. I'm thinking about your birthday gift. I'm already there.
Yeah.
I know. So then when we don't do that, we're like, let me empty my savings account for this. So dumb.
Yeah. So I think silly. Too, like being intentional about like writing things down. Like I feel like I see things on TikTok or Pinterest and I love it, and I'm like, okay, when the time comes, I'm gonna remember. But it's
you're like no, you're save, not. Add to favorites, and never go back to favorites.
Yeah. So like I'm like being intentional about like writing in my notes like this for this person this time. Like you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. My sister always for Christmas had a list like this person mentioned this throughout the year and literally got it, and then me, I'm like. Christmas Eve and I'm
TJ Maxx $200 here. Yep. Yeah. So. No, I think that's good. Yeah, we've definitely are finding ourselves in a year of more intentional like finances, because I think we're traveling a little bit more for leisure.
Yeah.
Not leisure like, oh, we're just doing whatever we want whenever we want, but we are like, we took a trip to Disney World, and that wouldn't have been able to happen if we didn't in the whole first half of the year just like buckle down and like we're not.
Yeah.
You know, most of our traveling does, you know, it's for ministry stuff. It's like conferences and, you know, speaking places or leading worship somewhere or something. And so this year we determined at first, I'll tell you this, we wanted this year to be like, we're just going to save. We're not going to travel at all except for what we have to. And we're going to save money to do another round of IVF. But at the top of the year, there was a lot of stuff that happened in our own personal lives, in our families' lives. And we just said, we're actually going to take this year and just enjoy it. And we're not going to put the stress on of like having to save every dollar. Because once you shift into gear for getting ready for IVF, it just changed. It's very heavy. So with what the Lord like kind of allowed the top of the year, we determined like, no, this is actually not the year to do all that. This is the year to enjoy the rhythm that God has brought us to.
Yeah.
because we feel like we've worked really hard to get to this place.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, well, let's just move on to the next thing that we have to do because we're here and we're
Yeah.
you know. But I think that there is always a season to enjoy the fruit that you have. You've plowed and you've planted and you've tended the garden, and now the fruit is here. And what am I going to do? Take it, cut it, get rid of it? Like, no, I want to enjoy this season that we're seeing so much ripe fruit.
Yeah.
And so, but even to travel, you still have to plan and be very disciplined and stuff. And so, I think in that way we've been able to do that. We're going to be going back to Disney World. This actually might be coming out around that time, now that I think about the timing. So we'll probably be in Florida again, which if you didn't know this, there's direct nonstops from Buffalo to Florida now that are like $80.
I actually really love that though, even for Atlas, because you guys have been hand to the plow for since she's been born, before she's been born.
Yeah. So I'm excited. We did it once in the middle of the year, and now we're going to do it again towards the end of the year. We won't do 2 in a year again, but I think she's going to love it. She's going to have a blast.
That was also like the first time you guys got to take her
on a vacation.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize that until you said that.
Yeah.
I was talking to Billy after, and he was like, we did Hawaii, but she was so young.
Yeah.
And it's so different. Like a vacation and a trip for her are so different. Like the trip is like Disney World, like doing things, and we're running around, and it's like pretty much centered around the kids. Yeah. And so we had the first trip that was that, because even Hawaii was like, we're just sitting on the beach, which she loved it, but she has no idea that she's, 8,000 miles away from home. And
she thinks she's down at the Dunkirk Pier.
She really does, dude. So it took a lot of intentionality though to be able to be prepared for that. Yeah. And to do what we did. So I'm just, I think we've been trying to.
That's so good.
Make that happen. But so let's see where we're at. The question that I asked and that we came up with was, what are you being intentional about this season and how? Because so many people want to talk about what they're being intentional about, but have no plan how.
Some of these are so sweet.
I know, it's beautiful. So yes. Okay. Are you crying? You're crying? Jesus got me last episode. Now he's getting you.
Okay, get it together.
Okay. Do you want to? Go ahead.
One of these says, inner healing, slowing down, giving myself grace, loving myself through,
loving myself,
and rewiring negative thoughts.
Good. Reframing.
Yeah, we just talked about that. That's great.
Giving myself grace, loving myself, rewiring negative thoughts. This is so sweet. Because I know who that is too. Okay. So it messed me up. But yeah, I think, inner healing. It's something that cannot not be done alone.
No.
It cannot be done alone.
No.
So a lot of people are like, I'm going to start, healing, which I think is great, that you have the intention, and that's God is so pleased.
Yeah.
At all that you do that, but find people. Yeah. Find people to do it with. That's beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Go ahead.
Do you have the same ones I have?
Some of them.
Okay. Putting my trust into God, letting him make a path for me now, which is so good too.
Yeah.
I think this one where she said slowing down, I think a lot of things are a fruit of slowing down. I think we miss a lot because we don't slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of these things that come, like you have to slow down to rewire a negative thought. You have to slow down to be intentional. You have
love
to
yourself.
Slow down to hear from the Lord. You have to, like all these things are a product of slowing down.
Oh, wow. That's so good.
Yeah. I think as a whole, we could probably do that better.
No, but I think that's good thought too. It's like all of the, like slowing down is a goal. And if you slow down, a lot of those other things will come to fruition is what you're saying. Yeah. I think that's so solid. Someone said, trying to be intentional about patience with my kids, relearning how to talk to them. That's so gutsy to put out there.
I was just gonna say that's bold. Yeah.
Like to relearn how you've been talking to them. And then what we did was we posted the prompt in another slide and then asked people to like give their advice, because I think what we want to do is we definitely want to make a community.
Yeah.
And we want in the comment section of YouTube and Instagram and TikTok for you to put your thoughts or questions or stories, or and see what other people have to say. It doesn't mean that you're going to follow everything that any piece of advice that somebody gives you, but you can discern through if what somebody is saying is applicable to your situation.
Yeah.
So with the one being about intentional with your kids, these are some of the things that other people responded for how to do that. Someone said, learning the stages of development by age helped me put his actions into perspective.
Wow.
So,
and that takes a lot of intentionality to learn that too.
Yeah. Like if you, I can't expect from Atlas what Everly's doing, because Everly's almost 6 and Atlas just turned 3.
Yeah.
So when they're not behaving the same way, there have been times where I get frustrated and then I have to go, wait, you're literally 3 years ahead of her, 2.5 years ahead of her. How am I going to, how am I going to be upset with Atlas when she's same thing as the last episode. She's not trained for this.
Yeah.
She's not prepared for this kind of stress. She doesn't know what to do. This is a new, for her, so much that she experiences is new.
Yeah.
She's never had the feeling of frustration. She's never had the feeling of like extreme exhaustion. She's never. And so that's why what this person is saying is like learning them at the stage that they're at is like, I feel like that is so helpful.
Yeah. Wow.
Put his actions into perspective. That's so great.
Good. Yeah.
Also stopping myself in the heat of my non-patience and asking why it really triggers me. Someone said that.
That's really reflective.
Someone else said, I use mantras to reframe my thinking in the moment. My kiddos use them too. So like, I've been chosen for these kids. God has hand selected me. I know that he's with me.
Yeah.
I've been chosen for these kids. God has hand selected me. He's with me. Yeah. Like those like repetition.
I'm just thinking like in the moment when you're so frustrated to stop, slow down, and then like change the whole. That takes a lot of discipline and
then once you get to saying that every single time you get frustrated, what comes out the next time you get frustrated?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been chosen for this.
Yeah.
I'm hand selected by God. He is with me. That's good.
These moms are good.
Good. And then someone else said, we watched Have a New Kid by Friday, a super old school, but very practical. I think it's a movie about like
parenting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which Have a New Kid by Friday. Maybe that's something for you. Someone else said, validate. It goes such a long way. Have grace on yourself. Be consistent. Rewiring your brain is hard but doable. Be consistent and find your calming tools. Which I feel like a lot of these are mixed with like, things that you've learned through therapy and training and stuff like that. Yeah. Validate is so big. Like I do that with Addie, even though validate does not mean justify their behaviors.
Yeah.
So like even yesterday, like at the end of the night, I have been telling Atlas like, okay, we have 15 minutes, we have 10 minutes, we have 5, we have 3. The timer's about to go off. The timer's going off soon. The timer will be going off any minute, any second now. And she was so tired. So she was frustrated that she had to go to sleep, which is usually the only time she fights. When she's like partially there and like knows it's time, she's like, okay. Or the timer will go off and she'll be like, I'm done, mommy. But that was not yesterday, which is very rare. But I was like, okay, I'm going to put she was building a castle. I'm going to put your magnet tiles away. Like, let's get them in here. And she started freaking out, losing her mind. You were here. Yeah. And I was like, I know it's frustrating to take apart this thing that like you just put all this together. But that doesn't change the fact that it's bedtime. I know you're sad. I know you're frustrated. Do you want me to carry you? Do you want me to hold you? Like giving her options and also telling her like, I know you're frustrated. It's okay that you're frustrated. Let's like, we have to keep moving. Yeah. And I would tell her like, it's all right if you cry. You just don't need to be screaming in my face. Like you can cry, you can be upset, but you don't need to, all those things like that. And I feel like I stayed right here until there was a moment where like she tried to throw herself. And then I was like, okay, this is getting dangerous. That's when I shift gears. But up until that point, I'm usually like, no, yeah, it's okay. I understand.
Well, and I think by the time you shift gears, she's like, okay, she's not playing. And then she's like,
yeah, all right. Let's go to bed.
Yeah.
And then
she's
I'll
like,
tell her.
I'll actually tuck myself into that.
I'll lock the bed myself. The last one is I had to remind myself they are inexperienced little souls. We have the privilege to teach them how to manage situations. Yeah, they're inexperienced.
Yeah.
How many times have you experienced something you're like, I don't know, I literally don't know what to do. I've never been in this situation like this.
Yeah.
That's how our kids feel every day. The world is so new.
Yeah, wow.
And it's not to make us feel guilty. It's to make us feel privileged, you know?
Yeah.
Like what a gift.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. What other ones do you have?
I just want to say though, this is like we said, like this is so bold to even message. Like I can tell you, I don't know if I would be messaging some of these things. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And yeah, that's just so good. This one says reconnecting with myself and understanding what I truly want in life by letting God be God, which is really good.
Yes. Did we add that to this? Let me see. Okay, hold on. What is this one? Okay, we added a prompt for that one.
Okay.
So, advice on other people on how to respond to that. Someone said Bible time, literally read your Bible every day.
Yeah.
Like you want to know what God is saying?
Yeah.
He doesn't need to say something new. He's already said a lot.
Yeah.
And there in Ecclesiastes it says that there's nothing new under the sun. Like everything's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And it's because God's already said it all.
Yeah.
He's already covered all the bases. He's already answered every situation that you'll ever need. And I think this too, like just in a sense of affirming, like wherever you're at in life, everything that you face, every role that you've been called to, every title you find yourself holding, God has already put every single tool inside of you that you will ever need. It's just a matter of using them, finding them, digging them up. Those things that we've learned even through inner healing. I believe that God has already put those desires, those needs, those wants, everything that we have inside of us. It's just an excavation now. Now we have to go searching.
Yeah.
We have to go pulling them up and out so that we can use them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but somebody said Bible time. Someone said go to church regularly, hang out with good people, surround yourself with love, and put yourself first.
Yeah.
Which I think is good. Reconnecting with myself, I think putting God first is the way that you reconnect with who you are.
Yeah.
Because once you've been with God often enough, he tells you, you can't help but figure out, you go to him, he gives you identity.
Yeah.
You go to him, he gives you love. Like if you go to him, all the things that you're looking for, reconnection and direction of life is like, once you've sat with him, you'll know where to go.
Yeah.
You call him father, he calls you son. That means you get identity.
Yeah.
You call on the healer, you get healed. That means you know him as healer. Like all of those things.
Yeah. I think too, that's like just like down to a really basic level. Like if you're confused, get to church. If you don't know what's going on, get to church. And it's not because we need attendance to be up, but it's like, where else are you going? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, oh, you're sleeping in on a Sunday. Like, you're not going to find direction doing that. So I feel like, there's like a couple people in my life that I'm like, okay, if you're confused, if you're struggling, you need to be in the house. Like, everyone needs to be in the house, but like especially in that moment.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's just.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people get frustrated with it because it's like, we're in such a time that, sorry, I just spit all over myself. We're in a time that is like, it's hard because it's like, we're preaching that you can find everything insufficient in Christ, but why do I need the church if everything that I need is in God? And they kind of separate those things. Like, I don't need to be in a church building. I don't need to be in this. I don't need that. I don't need, right?
But God, what does God say about community? And yeah, I get frustrated with that because I'm like, did you read the Bible or not?
Yeah, it's hard. It's frustrating. It is frustrating. And I think that it's frustrating because you really believe that God said, upon this rock, I will build my church and the gates of hell shall not prevail. And for some reason you think that you can cut that out of the equation.
Yeah.
Like Jesus actually made his bride the wrong thing. Yeah, he picked the wrong bride.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Well, and then I feel like that's scary.
Do you think
God did something wrong?
No, really though.
No, really.
Like on a measure of reconnection and intentionality, making a 1 time a week commitment for 1 hour and 15 minutes to be around other believers, worshiping together collectively, sitting under somebody that, like sitting under someone and you don't have the answer when you walk in the room, does wonders for your whole being.
And everybody that doesn't go to church, when they go to church, I feel so good. Which is just like a byproduct of God being good. But like, and you don't go to church for a feeling, but like, you just don't want to get out of bed. Get out of bed. Go to church.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always wondered because like my parents forced me to go to church, and like I always wondered like would I do that with my kids, and I'm like, no, I would.
Oh, I know some people that are like, I'm never forcing them to church. I love the heart to be gentle with their experience in the church.
Yeah.
But I do think that they usually won't want to go because of something of a narrative you created in your house, or a narrative that you allowed them to be around long enough. Yeah. So like, I remember the times that I didn't want to go to church. It was because my dad had just complained about like 5 different people, and I heard him complaining about them, or like complaining about the church in a general sense, or like, you know, so then the narrative that I believed was actually one that I got secondhand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like how you talk about church, how you talk about God, how you talk about reading your Bible, how you talk about doing life with people in front and around your kids, even just in the atmosphere of your house, will be the thing that your kids pick up.
Yeah.
So if you want to go to church and you're so pumped, I get so excited for Sunday mornings. When I wake Addie up, I'm like so excited. I cannot wait to get her there. Let's do this. Like, I'm not trying to rush out the door. I'm not trying to like, oh, hurry up, we have to get there. You're late. We can't be late. I don't even use that.
Yeah.
And it's changed the way that she looks at going to church on Sundays.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think too, it's like some things, I think this is, I don't know, I don't have a kid, but when I have a kid, this is what I'm thinking. It's like some things are non-negotiable. Just like you have to eat and drink water, like we're going to church. Mm-hmm. Like, and I think that's what changed in my head. Like when that was a non-negotiable for me, unless I'm literally out of the state, like that's just what we're doing.
Yeah.
And there's no.
It's always better when you leave. If your intention is to go and meet with Jesus, you will be better when you leave. Yep. If your intention is to see, you know, hopefully this person sees you and I can follow, like all those are great. You can add them to the list, but if they don't happen, it's fine. But if I'm going to meet with Jesus, he'll always show up and meet me there. So in the idea of reconnection, I think that's huge. And then also in the intention of like trying to reconnect with God, figure out where your life is going based on what he says, you kind of have to figure out what your preferences are that have gotten in the way this far. Yeah. Yeah. You want to reconnect with God. Like I would tell you, like your preference, your own, like what you think it fits your life, your schedule, the way you thought your life was going. What you're saying is for a moment in time, you will throw all of that away and ask God, where do you want me to be that will add to my flourishing? Yeah. That adds to my human flourishing. Like, where can I be? And for some of us, that means like picking up and moving, going somewhere else, living like doing something completely different than what we intended and what we thought. Yeah. But it's because you're trusting that God, the direction that he's taking you is where he wants you. Yeah. You know?
Wow, that's good.
Okay, let's see. What other ones do you have?
Okay, so if they're like kind of like blurred, like not as vibrant, that means that there's follow-up questions like on here?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Relationships and pouring into others. What has been poured into me, showing up for people. And actually, I know this girl.
Go ahead.
And she like recently messaged me and she's like, I was thinking about you and God brought this verse and like, I'm just proud of you for putting your hand to the plow. So if this is you and you wrote this in, I love you. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So I will say this. I messed up with that one because I posted it.
That's okay.
I reposted it thinking about one of the other prompts.
Got it.
So like my question didn't make any sense with what the thing was. So I ended up deleting it because I was like, yeah, this is wrong. That's okay. That's but yeah, I think going to God first. Oh wait, no, this is something else. See, I'm a wreck over here.
I'm the one underneath, the one we just did, the reconnecting one.
Oh yes, relationships and pouring into others. What has been poured into me. That's it. That's where it's at, baby. That you want to know where fulfillment comes. You want to know where like growing, like, because this is what I was thinking about yesterday. At the end of everything that we do, right? Ministry, church, groups, people, and this is our rhythm of life, our sphere of life. Like this is everything that we're involved in right now. Yeah. Most of our outside of what we're responsible for doing, this is what we do with our life. Yeah. It all comes down to this. Outside of you got to figure out your relationship with God, your healing, your health, like all that stuff, right? But then when you go to the next step, it all boils down to this. Go out and make disciples of all the world. Find lost people who are doomed to hell and help them encounter the Savior. Mm-hmm. That's why we're gospel church, because we're good news. We give the good news to the lost people. Yeah. News is not something that you have to come up with. It's already happened. It's a finished work. Now take that to lost people and help them become more like Jesus.
Yeah.
That's what it's literally. If we get up there and there's only 180 of us because we all attended gospel and nobody wanted new people, nobody wanted new friends, we have failed. I'm sorry, this gets me so hot. Because everybody's looking for what they're called to do, how they can this, what they can that, what works for them, what their preference is, like what feels accommodating, and it kills me.
And it's all about you, and that's not what it's supposed to be.
There are people that are doomed to hell right now. In like faces we will see today.
Yeah.
We have to become lovers of discipleship.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, like, even just to the people that are like within reach, doesn't mean like go start a small group and you have to like this and it's like all intense. It's just like in the way that you live your life and show up in the circles that the Lord has trusted you in.
Yeah.
Are you pouring out what has been poured into you?
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean I'm going around saying, oh, Haley told me this and Pastor Seth told me this and out this person and this and this and this, like, and I'm just repeating everything. It means like when I'm in a room and I'm sitting across the table from somebody and they share an instance, like I get the opportunity to pour into that individual what was poured into me years ago, months ago, days ago.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad to see that somebody's being intentional about it, because that, like, if we don't disciple people, like, how does the good news get out?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think too, it's like,
sorry,
some of that,
step off my soapbox.
Some of that is like you said, with the people you're already running with, if you're working on a relationship with God and you, like, some of that is literally like when they frustrate you, it's like greeting them with grace, or like, it's like those simple things that like start the change. And like, I feel like I've seen that in my own friend group. Like,
yes,
the girls that I went to high school with, there's 3 of them, and it's like one started to come to church with me, and now she's a regular girl, and then the other one I've gotten in there like 2 or 3 times, and then the other one is like, she's like, feels like she's ready for a change. So it's like, but I'm still the same. No, I don't want to say I'm still the same, but like I'm still
as loving.
Yeah, and I think I'm still like funny, and I can have fun, and we can go do things, but it's like, when you want to talk about something serious, like, Jesus is the center.
Yeah, there's no getting around that.
Yeah. So if you don't want to hear that, then
probably not the girl to come to.
Don't talk to me. Yeah. And I think, yeah. So I think it's just like the little changes. And then it's like when there is moments of tension or conflict, it's like, yeah, I don't really care.
Yeah, it's not the big deal.
And like before, I feel like my friends were scared of me because I'd be the girl to like, all right, we're getting everyone on a 3-way call. We're about to deal with this. And like, sometimes that's necessary, but like, that's not always necessary.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I think that's been a big, you know, testimony that.
Yeah. It's huge.
Off. Yeah.
And then showing up for people.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is sometimes so simple. It's literally sometimes it's a text message. Sometimes it's a phone call.
Yeah.
And not waiting to show up for people that just show up for you. It's just, I'm just going to show up when God tells me to show up. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not more complicated than that. It's not more complex. Like, I'll show up when he tells me to show up, and that's it.
Yeah. Also, just like down to basics, like pray for your friends. Like,
that's
I
good.
think like every night I pray for all my friends.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Billy and Randy's name is written in my journal like 17,000 times. Like, bless them, keep them, like, you know, just down to that, and pray for them to be open-minded to who you're becoming and who's God's calling you to be, and pray for them to even come to church. Like, I'm like, okay, we need to soften their heart, get them to church, like whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. Okay, what's the next one?
Someone said going to God first and then clenching my fist and letting God work in my life, which that's like an inner healing thing.
Yeah, the unclenched fist, like, just so you understand. Yeah. We do this exercise where it talks about the different fists and like whispers of love coordinates with that, but it's a whole thing. But basically, like, there's like a grabbing fist, a clenched fist. What else?
No, isn't it just? Oh wait, there are more.
Yeah, there's a few, but basically, like, the clenched fist is like you're always, oh no, it's a grabbing fist. And I think a description of it is clenched. It's like basically you grab at something and then you squeeze it so tight, and then whatever you're desperate to find in people, like you're grabbing so tight that you actually suffocate the relationships.
Yeah.
And the relationships die, and you're wondering why you have no friendship, no relationship, no consistency, nobody you can actually just like do life with. And it's because every time you get somebody, you squeeze so tight that the relationship dies.
Yeah.
Because people get overwhelmed and they're like, this is just too much for me. And so that's huge. It's huge to acknowledge that you clench your to be like a grabbing fist or a clenched fist. But also the idea is that you would live with open hands, and God brings in the people that he wants in your life, and he also takes out the people that he wants in your life. Yeah. And so allowing the open fist means that as people come and go, like I'm okay with it because I don't have to sustain things by my own fear of pain.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Pastor Obed did that analogy you told me about the garbage bags.
Oh, yes.
And like God can throw you something new, but you can't catch anything if your hands are full.
Your hands are closed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so good. So yeah, we prompted it, and someone said, and I said, how do you release people who are not reciprocating in relationship without bitterness?
Ooh, that's a good one.
You know, because, and how do you just release friendships that are like done? And like, how do you, like all of those things, like how do you do that without getting bitter or angry or, you know, all those things like that? Because that means unclenching my fist means my hand is open. And guess what? When you've had somebody clenched for so long and you open your hand, they're like an animal that's never been allowed outside. They run.
Yeah.
And sometimes they do not come back.
Yeah.
So the fear of doing this is like everybody might run, because I have been suffocating every relationship in my life.
Wow.
So how do you let them leave without getting bitter? And how do you start to, I guess let's start with that. How do you let them leave without getting bitter? I know. Chirp, 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 chirp. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. Someone said forgiveness and boundaries. I had to do this with my brother and former besties. Say no to toxic people, which is so easy to say. Yeah, right. Yeah, I think in a practical sense, like how do you let people release? I think you can release people to the degree that you know you're valuable. So people can go out of my life and I'm not going to chase them down and beg them, because I know I'm valuable. And if you feel like you're not called to my life in this season, I know my value. I know what God says about me. If you don't want to be a part of that, then that's you. But there comes a security that you have to have.
You have to have, yeah. And that's what I think it probably comes down to. And that's why you're grabbing in the first place, because you're
begging people. Yeah.
You're looking for people to, that's hard. I think I'm experiencing like being clenched by someone, by a friend. And I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. And sometimes we will just stay in that stage, because a lot of inner healing is like you focus on you. Yeah. So I'm being clenched. How do I get out of here if there's like literally no way to get out, you know? Yeah. But also how do you, I think it's two-sided. One, if people want to leave my life, I have to let them.
Yeah.
What good is a relief?
Okay with change for that too, which is a lot of the issue.
Yeah. Well, like how good is a relationship if you're only staying because you're scared that I'm going to be angry if you leave? Yeah. That's not a friendship. Yeah. So let's just acknowledge that's not a friend. Yeah. That they have to stay, because if they don't,
there's going to be some backlash.
They're going to be in trouble for choosing to get out of a friendship. Right. That's not fair. Yeah. So I think there's that. But then I also think it's like, how do we release friends when the season is over?
Yeah, because in the world, that doesn't really make sense. I love you, I care about you, but I don't want to be your friend. How do you say that?
You say it with like so much love in your heart, because I think
it takes a level of maturity. Like if you were to say that to me, well, don't ever say that to me, please. I would, yeah, that would be devastating. Okay, but if you were to say that to me, or if somebody were to say that to me, I think it's like, okay, kind of like, thank you, because I'd rather you not pretend you want to be my friend. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a real fact that it would be like, dang, like if I thought everything was great, what's where did I go wrong there?
Yeah.
You know? But I think, it takes a level of maturity to, one, deliver that, but also to receive that and do some introspection. Or if you're not mature, then it's like, well, they're just like a crappy friend, they're a terrible person, they're this or that. And then I think you have to be ready to hear that on the opposite side as well.
Oh yeah. It's not even just like, I think many people would do better being told they don't want to be friends with you than to tell somebody they don't want to be your friend, or you don't want to be their friend anymore.
Wait, say that again.
I think so many of us would do better being told, like, we might act dysfunctionally and be like, yeah, screw them, I can't believe them, I've been friends with them for so, yeah, but I think we would all do better with that. There are very few people I know that can stand up for themselves in the season they're in and just say, like, I just don't think that this is a relationship that I'm like in a season to keep investing in. It doesn't mean I don't love you, doesn't mean like I won't be present if you have a standing need, but like I don't have the capacity to give you what you are looking for in a friendship. I find very few people will do that.
Yeah.
And I think if you're in a place where you're kind of like, I don't know that this is a relationship I need to be growing, or it's not adding to honestly, if a relationship is not pulling you closer to Jesus, they should be associates, not friends. Like they're people that you know, but you don't lean on, right? So I think there's that. But this is how I'm just going to act like your sister right now. You ever send a text and you're like, what do I say to this? And somebody sends you back and they're like, I think you should say this. You can adjust it, whatever. I'm going to just do that for you. Okay? Here's your prompt. This is what I would say. I wanted to get a second to kind of update you where I'm at in life. And in this season of my life, I'm finding I can't reciprocate or give out in as many relationships, like give out what I think you might need in this season for friendship. It doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean that like hang on, let me start this over. Okay. Delete. Okay. I would just say something like, hey, I'm in a season of life where I feel like I'm trying to, because you want to keep it on you. I'm trying to be mindful of what relationships I'm pouring into and where I'm at. And I feel like God has been convicting me on like my capacity. And I've been trying to keep so many friendships alive and distribute so much of myself. And I don't have that. And so I just want to make it clear, like in this next season, like I'm really hankering down and focusing on where I'm going at with God. And I'm trying to be intentional. And I don't think that I can give you in our friendship what you're expecting. So I just want you to have a realistic expectation of where I'm at and what I can give you. And I can't give you what I have been giving you.
Yeah.
So if you will, just pray for me in this season, like believe that God's going to speak to me. I love you. I just want you to have a realistic expectation of what I can give you.
Yeah.
Because I can't give you what I've been giving you.
Yeah.
That's probably more.
It's me, not you.
Not even just that. It's like, dude, I can't give you what you think I can give you.
I know. Yeah, I think that's hard. That's kind of actually weird for me because I feel like,
Yes.
there's some things I got to wrap up around here. But I think too, I feel personal conviction because it's like, okay, you're pacifying them almost with this friendship because you don't know what to do. And then it's like, if someone was pacifying me in a friendship, I'd be like, just tell me. So like, that's not fair that Yeah.
Well, then it doesn't mean that doesn't mean you can't show up for them when they have a need or whatever. It doesn't mean you go like, oh, whenever you need anything, just call me. I'll always be here. I never make promises like that.
Yeah.
But it's like, you can, if at any point you like feel like you're searching for Jesus, like, girl, I'm here.
Yeah.
Like I'm here to rock with you when you walk with God. But like, I'm in a place where I can't give out what I've always given out.
Yeah.
It's costing me too much.
Yeah.
And it's not just you. It's not just this friendship. It's like, I think when people come into this stage, there's like an evaluation of all relationships. Yeah. So it's like, that's why I tell people to start with like, hey, I'm in a season where I'm just evaluating all the relationships that I've put so much effort into. And I feel like I've been giving way more.
Yeah.
Giving beyond my means. Like I'm forsaking myself in an attempt to keep this relationship alive. And it's not because you've done anything wrong. It's not because I've done anything wrong. It's just God is having me review a lot of my life.
Yeah. I think too, like, I think there's friends that it's like, if you want a friendship with, like, they're going to run with you towards Jesus. Like if they really want a friendship with you.
But if they want if they just want you to come in and out whenever they please, then it's more of an associate, I would say.
Yeah. Or if there's things where it's like, they want to keep doing what we've been doing, then it's like, okay. Yeah. Either we're going to grab hands and go or we're not going.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's hard.
And I think it's a lot of like, hey, I'm in this season. This is what I'm looking for in relationship. If you can run with me, I want to run.
Yeah.
But I can't pay the price of having people that are going in the opposite direction of me in this close proximity. And I know that sounds crazy, and it's okay if it does. It's okay if you don't understand the season I'm in. It's okay if this frustrates you, whatever you feel like. And I always tell people too, like right at the end of your text, if you need a few days or some time to process, take your time.
Yeah.
You know, because it is sometimes it's for some people that don't operate in introspection, it'll feel like a side swipe. Like what? Like I would, because you're not really, they're not in a rhythm of thinking about like where they're at and what they're doing and what they're contributing and you know all that stuff like that. But that's giving. On the receiving end, I think if you were to hear that, how would you respond?
I guess it depends who it's from.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd be shocked, maybe.
Yeah.
And then, well, actually, I feel like I have been on the receiving end of that one time. And I felt like confused and I felt like I had no closure for a long time. But now I'm like, okay, thank you for doing that, actually.
The thing that bit you.
Yeah.
Can be the thing that saves you.
Yeah. So I think when you're not in alignment with God and like you don't have understanding of that kind of stuff, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
So I think I was confused for a long time, looking for closure, seeking for the person that hurt me to fix me.
Mm-hmm.
And then, now I'm like, wow, that was a blessing.
Yeah. And I think too, to this, like how many, if you've ever been on that receiving end and maybe you're still experiencing pain from that one time years ago, recently, whatever, or, you know, God is having you listen to this because in preparation, you're going to at some point have a transition out of a relationship. Take a second and just go, okay, am I going to judge losing this one person in like a one moment view? Like, I'm just going to look at this and like generalize a bunch of stuff. Or am I going to say like, okay, God, maybe you're doing something that I don't see. So kind of help me like sort this out. Let me reconcile this. I would say too, and like I always say, is if you've ever experienced a friendship breakup, like go and write about it to Jesus.
I was just going to say.
Because your feelings are very valid. You can experience feelings of rejection, abandonment, inadequacy. You can feel like you failed, like you weren't a good enough friend to keep them. But I think that in all of that, those are all feelings that might be valid in the moment, but that doesn't mean that they're true about you. And so you have to get them out so that you can process and come to the reality, the truth of what God is saying about you and this friendship. Just like you were saying, you had an experience recently where like you sat and journaled and you really reconciled what was going on. Yeah. And so, but I don't think that we should be imprisoned in friendships and just have to stay friends with people because we were friends with them at one point.
No. And I think it's a good moment for self-reflection too.
Yeah.
And even if it's coming down to like, I stayed in this way too long and it was painful getting out because I knew it was expired.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's good. And I think that goes with everything, anything, any sort of conflict, anything you're feeling, like really self-reflection and journaling is like the only thing I would say, because that's the only thing that's actually helped. So,
yeah. And I think too, like the self-reflection is where you find out that you had the grabbing fist. It's where you find out if you've like been a control. I think the other one's a fist of control.
Yeah.
Like if you've been in all those things, then that's where you kind of find out because, like just like you can love bomb a partner, like a non-platonic partner, you can love bomb a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's good.
So, yeah, but I think it does come down to value. Like if you know you're valued in Christ and people leave, it's like, yeah, that hurts, it stings, but it's like, it's okay. Like we've had people that we're in close relationship with leave our church, and it's like, don't get me wrong, like you have this feeling of like, oh my gosh, like I thought we were doing life with each other. And those are all real thoughts that I can get out with Jesus. But then after I get them out, I'm like,
yeah,
this has nothing to do with me actually.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of times when people are trying to get out of friendships, relationships, we just make it all about ourselves. And it's like, maybe this has everything to do with them. And maybe this is going to be the best thing that they ever did. And if I love them the way that I say I do, if me being out of their life is the best thing for them,
yeah,
am I willing to love them to that degree?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
So, okay. Let's go. What about the boundaries one? Someone said something about boundaries.
Boundaries. I think boundaries are... Okay, wait. What was the question again? Being intentional about boundaries. Okay. Oh, yeah. That's...
Oh my gosh. Episode 2, we've been talking for almost an hour already?
Oh.
How's that crazy? How is that crazy? How is that? That's crazy.
I think boundaries are important, but I think more than boundaries being important, I think healthy boundaries are important, because I think we like to label a lot of things that are actually manipulation as a boundary.
Yes.
So
yes,
I think being intentional about being healthy when setting boundaries is what we should be intentional about, you know?
Yes.
But I think boundaries are necessary.
Yes, because I think boundaries can just become a bunch of walls.
Yeah, boundaries are supposed to be doorways, not walls.
So boundaries can just become these giant gates you've built around yourself, and there's actually no entry point.
Yeah.
And so if you build them all like that and there's no entry point, then nobody can get in, but you, my friend, can also not get out.
Yeah.
You are stuck in that place because you've isolated and, all that stuff. Some of the things that people said is be firm, be adamant, have confidence that God will be the one to provide everything you need, which is so good, period.
Yeah, that's good.
Be firm, because I think there are people that wait for you to falter in your boundary and then they just kind of slide right in.
Yeah.
So I think that's that. My safety mentally, physically, spiritually is more important than making some one person uncomfortable. This is what someone said. Like when they talk about boundaries.
Yeah.
Like you being stable and healthy as an individual is so much more important. Like the conversation about friendship, like that's going to make that one person important, but it also might change the entire way that I live.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think, okay, so I don't know if people know the doorway analogy. Where did that come from?
Yeah.
But I think so. It's like she said, like you don't build a wall because then no one can get in, no one can get out. But a healthy boundary was if somebody is like a taker and they have no boundaries or whatever, you create a doorway for them to come in. Like, I can spend this would be a boundary for me. Like I have X amount of time. If you want to meet, this is the time I have. Once this time's up, I have to leave. That's a boundary for me because I think sometimes I get stuck.
Yeah. In
so
spaces.
It's like, that's the doorway where we can have friendship.
Yeah.
Within these confined.
This space.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the walls might go all the way around, but here's the door.
Here's the door.
And so you're teaching people with boundaries where the door is.
Yeah.
You're not just keeping everybody out. If you don't do this, you can't. No. This is the door.
Yeah.
So if you come in this way, you're welcome, but you also go out that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. No, I think that's huge because we've made it too like, well, my boundary is I don't want to be talked to right now. Or you're not allowed to bring that up. That makes me uncomfortable. I have a boundary. Well, that very thing that very thing that you don't want to talk about is the thing that's actually been abusive. So how far does that boundary get to live?
Yeah. And I think too, it's like when people are processing, like if you have a confrontation with a partner and they maybe are somebody that has to process internally, like
private, like by themselves.
Yeah. That is allowed with an end date.
That's
good. Healthy.
Yeah.
But if you're like, okay, I need to think about this. And then you never, because maybe the other person is somebody that wants to communicate. Like, I need an hour to think about this and then let's get back together. But you can't just say, oh, I'm processing this. And then you never.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it.
That's manipulation.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's extremely unsettling. Yeah. Someone said reframing my boundaries as an act of self-care for me and not a restriction of others. I think go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think too, I've done this before. Like I use boundaries as a punishment for someone else. And it's like, okay, well then it's not about you and your boundaries. It's about punishing the other person.
So good.
So I think that's really important. And a boundary should be both ways. Like when somebody sets a boundary with you, how do you respond? Because I think that speaks about how you what your actual motive is.
Yeah.
Because I could say all day long, I'm setting a boundary, but I'm actually punishing you. Then you set a boundary, then I'm offended.
Yes.
Like, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think if you've never had somebody set a boundary with you, then when they do for the first time, you're like, what the heck? But then it should make you go, wait, if they're making boundaries, I also want to make some things that like for me that are healthy.
Yeah. And I think too, it's like certain friendships, it's like, I love you enough to tell you that this bothers me and this is not what I'm willing to do going forward because I value the relation enough to keep pushing forward even though I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I think oftentimes we stop at the boundary because it's uncomfortable. Yeah. Because the reaction wasn't what we wanted. And then it's like there's no room to push forward if we stop at offense.
Yep. Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. Okay, let's do one more.
Okay.
Things that people are being intentional about. Let's see. Where am I? Always so confused on this little smartphone here. Just kidding. Oh, there it is. Okay, do you have one that you see that you like, or do you want me to?
You do one. I feel like a lot of these we talked about, the ones I have.
Date night and waking up earlier than my children to spend time with the Lord is one. I'm just going to read off a few. Prayer and growing my friendship with Jesus, daily communication, Bible worship, journaling with God, time with my husband, and respecting my new book of love. I love that. Somebody from Inner Healing.
Good.
Intentional time with God and growth, running back to him when the vision he gave me feels heavy, which I think is so powerful. Wow, that's beautiful.
What about this one? This is kind of something we talked about. I don't know if it's in there, but we had talked about like the weight of, there's like a weight to everything.
Yeah.
Being really intentional about relying on God in that.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times we try to do it by ourselves. Like the weight of ministry, the weight of being a good partner, the weight of being a mom, which I don't know, but it takes an intentionality to get your strength from God, I think.
Yeah, to not have to figure it out by yourself, for sure.
Because I think you get prayed up and then you can go for a long time and then you're like, oh, I can do this. And then you're like, I'm actually dying.
Yeah.
Now what?
I'm out of,
Get back.
Well, we've been using this analogy in this track of Inner Healing is like, God is the gas station. And anytime you're coming empty, you have to go back.
Yeah.
And this is what happens is people carry, it's like the relationships in our lives, they have that little gas can. And that's all they have. That's all they have to give to everybody the whole day. And they're pouring in, but they're never going to be enough to get you full, to get you to the destination that's actually pretty
really
far.
Good. Yeah.
I
did that?
Yeah. And so they're carrying these around and they can add to it, but like that'll never be enough in that little tank to fill your car up to get you to the point that you need to be.
Yeah.
And so, and even me, in order to fill that little tiny tank up, I have to go back to the gas station too. I fill myself up, I'm full in the gas station, and then I actually carry this around for other people so I don't have to try and fill myself.
Yeah.
The gas that I've been given is actually a gift to fill other people and to add to other people's lives, but it's not to fill myself up and it's not to be enough to fill anybody else.
Yeah.
I have to be full by what God gives me at the gas station.
You have access every morning.
Unending amount.
Yeah.
Every day I can go fill up my gas tank. I never have to be on empty.
Wow.
But if I don't go to the gas station, then I want everybody else that I run into to give me everything that they have.
If you won't do what you can do for yourself, like if you, what is that saying? You say it. Like, what is it? It's like if you have to do, like nobody's going to do it for you. No one's going to the gas station for you.
Nobody.
You have a responsibility to get your butt there.
You're the only one with the key to your car.
Yep. Wow, that's
You're literally the only one with the key to your car.
Randy, that's good.
Thank you, Jesus. That's all the Lord. That's all revelation of the Lord.
Yeah.
So like even in like the core longings, that's like the way I figured out. I was like, okay, this has to be the analogy.
That's so good.
That you have to go back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anytime you have to go back, you can be on full. You can have a full tank. I don't know what that's like in my car because gas be expensive. I'll be filling up on quarter tank because I can't grab the whole thing. This is like, not really, but this is like you can be full every day.
Yeah.
All the time.
And it's a choice.
If you want to be.
Yeah. Or you can run on empty. And then
or you can obligate every single person around you to give you the tiny amount that they do have. And guess what? Even when you collect all those little tins, it ain't going to be enough.
Oh, and then you're not going to pour into anyone else. So that's cute. You want everything from everyone else and you're not going to pour out.
On that note, we can't wait to see you for season 3.
That is not about to be us, girly pops. Okay.
No. So go to the gas station because God has so much for you. You can be full. You can fill your little tanks up and distribute them out like we talked about in the last episode in Galatians. Like you get to love people from that place. So yeah,
that's because Jesus loves you so much.
He does, and he never withholds a good thing from you.
Yeah.
So get to the gas station this week. No, but really, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was fun. Yeah, we're gonna do more prompts as all the weeks come. I think every episode we might have some a section of stories or questions or things like that. So if you have any ideas, topics you want us to cover for season 3, put them in the comments below, or DM us on any of our socials. Allison's on Instagram is Allison Cars, and then mine on Instagram is Randy is Blessed. I think I might be changing back to Randy Heather, but who knows. And then we have our TikTok and Instagram, which is just at Secrets of a Church Girl. Our email is at secretsofachurchgirl@gmail.com. But yeah, as we get ready for season 3, please give us your thoughts. Yeah. Do you have anything?
No. I think that's good.
We ended on a big high. We're like, whoa. But we love you. We will be back in a few weeks for season 3 with our set being complete, not this thing on the floor. And we'll have all of our books organized and all that. Subscribe if you haven't, and we will see you next season. Yeah. Bye.
Oh, that was great.
That was so good.